we bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paolo Del Rosario.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Jet Manuel. And in tonight's game plan, we'll break down the 2021 PBA Best Player of the Conference race. Let's make the case for each candidate and pick our own winners.
We'll also evaluate and give our hot takes on the Philippines' performance in the 2021 ABC Asian Women's Club Volleyball Championship as they go head-to-head tomorrow. And we'll chat with Pinay weight powerlifter Joyce Reboton, as she talks about the amazing campaign of the national team at the recent World Classic Powerlifting Championships. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Let's talk about the best and the brightest in the 2021 PBA Philippine Cup. Calvin Abueva, Mikey Williams, Robert Bolick, Ian Sangalang, and CJ Perez. Now, who is our favorite to win the best player of the conference? Let's break it down alongside PBA Rush analyst Jet Manuel, this guy, and Diego Dario, that guy. Gentlemen, welcome. Jet, I liked your spin a while ago.
You like my analyst dance here?
The analyst dance. Good. Okay, yeah, that works. What's happening? Let's go today. All right, so simulan na natin. Calvin Abueva, Robert Bolick, Mikey Williams, Ian Sangalang, those guys all have great cases. And right now, we're gonna have Diego go through Calvin Abueva first, his credentials, his resume. What makes him so special this conference?
Well, Calvin Abueva is the centerpiece for me of this Magnolia team. You know, they missed the semifinals last year in the bubble. Now that with his addition, they're one of the most competitive teams here in the PBA, averaging a double-double, almost 3 assists and 1 block. So Calvin Abueva, you don't even have to call plays for him. He does the dirty work, and he does a lot of good things for this Magnolia team.
You know, Calvin Abueva, you said it, he does so much, all numbers all across the board. And Jet, covering his games, I know that you call these games as well. What stood out for you?
Well, it's just his impact, Nolia. It just speaks to how good of a player he is.
Speaking about good players, of course, we're talking only about great players here. Mikey Williams, rookie candidate for Best Player of the Conference. A lot of people are saying that maybe he could be the first in quite a while, really, to win a Rookie and Best Player of the Conference, which is really equivalent to what could be an MVP this season because of the shortened nature. Your thoughts on him?
Well, for me, honestly, Mikey Williams is not a rookie anymore, but in the PBA rules, he still is. You know, he's had a lot of experience, you know, in the G League, international games, but Mikey Williams, such a great fit for this Talk and Text team, averaging almost 18 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists. So really an all-around player for Talk and Text. He has the keys to the offense of this Talk and Text team, and he's also one of the reasons why they're the #1 team in the Philippine Cup.
Second top scorer in the PBA this conference. He's not just a scorer though, is he, Jet?
Well, you know, a lot of people are saying he's the future, but the way he plays or is playing right now for the #1 team in the PBA, I think that's just, you know, it just speaks volumes on how he can, you know, facilitate an already established team just like the Tropang Giga. And, you know, if you have Jason Castro mentoring you, I think it also has an effect on how he's playing right now.
Yeah, so is he not the future? Is he the present?
He's the present.
Oh, okay.
He's the present,
Wow.
he's the future.
Right. Okay, sige,
Present
sige.
in the future.
Present in the future. How can he be okay, let's. All right, anyway, moving on. Robert Bolick had a great season. Probably it's a lot better than what their win-loss record was in the end. And that might actually impact his case here. But then when you look at his numbers, Jegs, what do you see?
Well, for the best player of the conference, they would still have to count, you know, the numbers, the stats up until the semifinals. So that's going to be, you know, a tough loss for Robert Bolick since his team is already eliminated. But talking about, you know, the most valuable player, I'm going for Robert Bolick, especially in the elimination round. Who is, you know, Northport without Robert Bolick? He's the centerpiece. He's the primary playmaker for this team. You know, doing everything. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Offense starts with him, it ends with him, and I think, you know, without him, Northport won't be as successful as this conference.
Well, Robert Bolick, we all know that he was a playmaker, but did you think that he elevated that part of his game in this conference, or do you think that, you know, it's just overall, he's just better in every aspect?
Well, better in every aspect, if I have to answer. you know, the game that actually clinched it for me, which was a game I covered live, and that was a triple-double in the third quarter game. I think I saw everything from Robert. I mean, you have a guy like Greg Slaughter. In that situation, he wasn't in that game. But they won the game. He had a triple-double, and I think that just made him, you know, or magnified him as the more important piece. I would say if you take Greg or him out, I wouldn't want to take Bolick out.
All right, understood.
Also improved his stash too. This
no, his
MVP for stash.
Yung bigote niya seems to get more fierce every year. I'm afraid to see what happens when he's a 10-year veteran. Moving on, Ian Sangalang for Magnolia. He has been the key piece, very consistent. A lot of people are saying that everyone else could go up and down, but then he has been the consistent one. What do you have to think about his performance so far?
Well, like what you said, Pao, he's one of the most consistent players for Magnolia. And strong left, force right, but easier said than done.
He still can't stop it.
Even if he goes right, he's still going to finish with his left. And he's one of the best players. I don't know how to stop this guy.
It's frustrating because we actually say that every game. Right?
Every year.
If you call a game that involves Ian Sangalang, he's gonna always say that he's gonna go to his left, right? And he's gonna score no matter what. How frustrating is that?
That's frustrating. I mean, you plan to stop his left, and he still keeps killing you with his left. But Ian Sangalang, if you have a guy, Calvin Abueva, we talked about him a while ago, with his impact, this guy is just steady. He's always there. He's always gonna give you the numbers that he's showing right now. And you know, if you have a guy like that you can rely on, that's already a candidate for best player for conference.
Of course, now CJ Perez is the last one that we have, and when you have CJ Perez, you get the scoring, that punch that you expected from him, that he's shown throughout his career so far. He's shown that in that last game, in that loss for San Miguel. But siguro not necessarily the flashiest numbers that we have here. What do you think about his game so far?
I always say this when talking about CJ Perez. The shots that he's been getting here in San Miguel compared to when he was back in Terra Firma, so different. You know, he's been having a lot of spot up threes, just open cuts down low, coming from Junmar, coming from Chris Ross. But CJ Perez, he's putting up these numbers from the bench. So that's what's amazing for CJ Perez. In just limited minutes, probably not, you know, in the 30s or in even the 40s, he's still putting up this number. So I think CJ Perez, you know, still one of the best players here in the PBA.
All right, so those are our 5 best BPOC candidates here. So that's Calvin Abueva, Mikey Williams, Robert Bolick, Ian Sangalang, and CJ Perez. And right now, we're going to throw you both under the bus here. We're going to make your
Diego
picks.
first.
If you guys can vote. So
Diego
because Jet asked for Diego to go first, I'm going to Jet first. Jet, sino yung pick mo? Best player of the conference?
My pick for best player of the conference is Calvin Abueva.
Calvin Abueva. Okay,
Ooh.
from Magnolia, Hachas, Pambansang Jegs?
I want to see history.
Okay.
So the rookie and the best player of the conference.
Okay.
One player, Mikey Williams.
Bias for point guards,
Williams. So
man.
bias
That's what
for
I'm saying.
guards. But then you
Bias
look at
for
his
point.
numbers, it really is something. But then remember, hindi pa tapos yung pagtali ng mga stats. The semifinals have to be counted. And if Chris Ross could continue stopping Mikey Williams in terms of scoring production,
gonna be interesting.
That could change,
That
Jet.
could change.
That could change. So that will be really interesting. Jegs, thank you very much for joining us, making this a very weird start. The weirdest start we've had to the show so far. And we'll have you again very soon.
Thank you guys for having me.
I always love doing a show with you, Diego, and thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Diego. And after the break, it's time to get the hot takes on the Philippines' performance in the 2021 AVC Asian Women's Club Volleyball Championship with Mela Tunay and Mac Dionisio. Keep it here. You're watching the game. And welcome back to the game. Our Philippine teams are about to put their Asian Women's Club volleyball journey to a close. And tomorrow, Rebisco Philippines takes on Chocomucho Philippines at 1:30 p.m. in their classification match in preparation for the final day of competition on Thursday. And to help us evaluate the national team's performance, we have our volleyball analysts, Mela Tunay and superfan Mac Bengadora Dionisio. Mels, Bengs, welcome to the game.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, can I just say, the both of you are must-follows on social media kapag may game yung Philippines. Actually, if there's any volleyball game going on, grabe talaga. I'm learning so much, maybe too much. But my key learning today is that you are the Squammy Squad. Tama ba yan? 08. Hindi ako sigurado kung bakit, but then we'll let that happen for the meantime. So,
I'm sorry for this.
today, we have hot takes coming from the both of you. And
Yes.
Jet is gonna go through them one at a time, and then we're going to see whether or not they make sense. All right, Jet, let's go.
Yes, let's go. Okay, ladies first. Mela, I'll start with you. Hot take number 1. Rebisco found their best mix in the game versus Kazakhstan.
Yeah, so that's my first hot take in the Philippine team na nagko-compete sa ABC because clearly every game day it's a different parang starters for Coach Jorge.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because also of the fact that before the league started, there were unexpected experiences for them that they had to shuffle their lineup, diba? Some of the players from Chocomucho got transferred to Rebisco, and it kind of like affected the whole game plan for both coaches kasi they had to deal with that doon na mismo sa liga. But every day, iba yung lineup na ginagamit nila. But it was in that game against Saipa where we saw a different Rebisco team, mas palaban, and they were also receiving better. They were finishing the rallies better than usual. So yeah, in my opinion, that was really their best mix, at least for Rebisco.
Mac, how did you feel seeing that team fight the way they did it in that Kazakhstan game? Kasi they did have that right mix, as Amela mentioned it. But how did it feel seeing it come together?
Well, what? As a fan?
Oh,
or
as a
an
fan.
analyst? No, just kidding.
Pwede naman both.
Disclaimer.
As a fan, because I've always been a fan of all these girls from high school to college to now that they are in the national team. It's a proud moment for me, but at the same time, it leaves me hopeful because this is the start of a program, very young program, very new program with a new coach, with even a new volleyball body in the Philippines. So it's promising, and I can't wait for what's next for our volleyball teams.
Let's keep it to you, Mac, for hot take number 2. Chocomucho's maturity stands out. What do you say about this?
Well, not just maturity, but also yung condition nila. Kasi most of these players played in the PBL, and even Kalema was playing in a different tournament before this specific competition. So kita mo talaga na mature, they are conditioned. So kita mo yung laban nila at hindi sila starstruck kumbaga na pag nakapunto sila, they know what they can do and they are doing exactly that. So it's a joy to watch this team talaga.
Well, Mela,
Which is I did not expect initially because I was more excited about the Rebisco team, but surprisingly Chocomucho is doing very well.
what were your initial expectations, and what really changed for you?
Well, I am a huge fan of high school volleyball players. That's me. I watched them from high school pa. So I was I still am very excited about the new players. But at the same time, it surprised me how well the Chocomucho team is working together. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, Mela, just to touch on our point there, you mentioned that Chocomucho in general had were perhaps a little less rusty, but it's not just having played more. It's also that mental aspect. Hindi daw sila starstruck. Did you see that in the girls as well?
Well, for sure. I think also it's because of the leadership that they have on inside the court, right? Because they have Iris Tolenada, who I have, luckily shared the court with in Motolite. And iba talaga yung pag-reflect na leadership ni Iris, like on and off the court. And they have Kalema, who's a very experienced player, and a lot of players also like Paat na leads by example, and their intensity talaga. I think more than anything, yung intensity ng Choco Mucho as a team, yun yung nagta-transpire. That's why, like Benga said, they don't look starstruck at all kahit na ilan sa kanila baguhan pa doon sa international scene. It doesn't seem like it. They're just playing their game and nagta-translate yun sa laro nila.
Well, Mela, for hot take number 3, talking about young guns, no, for Ribisco naman, you have Belen, Nisperos, Cal. They showed us a glimpse of the bright future ahead. Why is this our hot take number 3?
Like Max said, like Mega said, volleyball kasi because of these girls. I mean, they are some of the reasons dahil sobrang skilled nila. Actually, lagi yung sinasabi, hindi pang high school yung laro nila when they were in high school. Kaya right now, kahit this is their first time competing sa seniors, kasi I think in the past they've presented the national team sa juniors division, but this is their first time sa seniors, and they exceeded expectation in a way na, again, like Choco Mucho, rin sila mukhang rattled. At least, siguro may moments, but majority of the times, talagang they can handle themselves, especially si Belen and Speros, who surprisingly have been having good defense. I mean, kilala natin sila kasi na good attackers, talagang multi-awarded spikers, pero their defense have been very crucial for the Ribisco team. And si Cal naman has been, trying her best this whole experience with Ribisco. She has a lot to learn, but luckily, she has Rhea Di Maculangan there with her. And I'm sure, knowing Ate Rhea also, she's been guiding her all throughout.
Well, Mac, you mentioned kanina that you follow these girls even through high school. You've seen them grow. And nagulat ka ba at the level that they actually played at, yung skill level nila, and how they approach yung challenge na to?
Not really surprised with how these girls are playing. Kasi, hindi lang naman sa UAAP or sa juniors tournaments yung mga experience ng mga yan. Marami sa kanila naglaro na rin for the juniors national team natin.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm not surprised with the level of play ni Cal kasi she is really good. She is doing very well for Ribisco. And there is so much promise in there, but we have to remember na sa NU, she is not the starting setter. So, she is gaining experience as we go day by day. So, patience for her, and she will go a long, long way.
So, kanina we mentioned a while ago that, actually na-mention ni Mela, what our hot take 4 was that grabe, intense yung mga players ng Choco Mucho. And since we already touched on that, we'll now move on to yung hot take number 5 natin, Jet.
Hot take number 5, good combination of veterans and young players might be the healthy mix of our national team that our national team needs.
Wow, hot take ba to? Or it just feels this feels like a prescription eh. Mela, Doc, can you tell us more about this prescription that you have?
Grabe naman yung prescription. Doktor kami dyan. I guess, like I mentioned kasi malaking factor yung may mga players ay nag-quarantine and it affected the whole game plan for both the teams. Kaya in the early games, it was really the youngsters that were fielded in. And during the game day na cleared na yung 4 na players natin who mostly are national team veterans. Even si Aya, she's not a veteran, but she's had an experience with the national team. So we consider her also a more experienced player in that term. So everyone was expecting them na maglaro that day, but I guess there were also other factors that hidden for the coaches. That's why hindi sila pinasok agad that game day kasi nga kaka-release lang din nila. But in the next game, and that's what we talked about earlier in hot take number 1, yun yung best mix, at least for me, dahil yun yung first time that they won a set in this whole ABC so far. At yun yung right mix na talaga na may veteran sa loob. I mean, we saw how intense Chang Abby was alongside Dindin, di ba? They were really giving that composure doon sa buong team. Kaya yung mga bata, they were just, lumabas din yung laro ng mga bata because they didn't have to think of anything but maglaro lang na maglaro. Unlike, having that pressure na, shucks, kailangan namin ipanalo to. The senior players ease them off those kind of pressures. Kaya lahat sila sabay-sabay umangat that game.
Well, Mac, do you agree with Doc Mela's prescription for the national team?
Nagka-PhD bigla si
How can I
Mela.
disagree?
Oo.
We are the Scrum Squad,
That's great. Okay.
Tama.
Perfect.
Again, Mela, Beng, salamat. We hope to talk to you again soon. I actually think those takes were very lukewarm eh. Kasi Mela could say a lot more. Si Bengs rin eh. And I can't wait for the temperature to rise next time we have the both of you on. Salamat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Papa.
Thank you.
Now, when we return, we'll get to know more about Joyce Reboton and the Philippine powerlifting team after their amazing run at the 2021 World Classic Powerlifting Championships. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Welcome back. You're watching the game. I'm Paulo De Rosario. Our Pinoy athletes continue to make history with our Philippine powerlifting team completing an amazing campaign at the 2021 World Classic Powerlifting Championships. With over 600 athletes in attendance, the Philippine delegation grabbed 4 golds, 2 silvers, and 5 bronze medals in total at the biggest powerlifting event of the year in Halmstad, Sweden. Joining us now to relive their journey is a member of the team who bagged the silver and the bronze in the women's 76-kilogram open division, Joyce Reboton. Congratulations, Joyce! Kamusta? Welcome to the game.
Thank you po. Salamat po
Joyce.
sa pag-invite sa akin dito.
No. It's a pleasure having you. Joyce, unang-una, congratulations. History-making, first Filipino to win a medal in total and a silver sa bench press category. How does it feel na yung pangalan mo nasa record books?
Siyempre po, unang-una, masaya po na lahat ng training and sacrifices is nagpe-pay off. Kasi ang totoo po niyan, hindi ko po alam na ako yung makakapag-uwi ng first na total medal sa history natin sa classic powerlifting. Pero syempre, sabi nga nila na pag ginawa mo yung part mo in training, makikita yon sa numbers na i-execute mo or magagawa mo sa mismong competition. Ayun, salamat po sa lahat ng tumulong sa amin para po makapunta dito sa Sweden. Ayun po.
Yeah, and Joyce, alam ko naman na pag-usapan na hindi naging madali ang journey mo. Pero balikan natin, run us through your journey. Bakit ka naging desidido na ito yung sport na iti-take up mo? And paano nagbago yung buhay mo na powerlifting yung ginawa natin?
Dati po kasi, nag-start po ako sa CrossFit. And na-try ko rin po mag-weightlifting and strongman. And also, ito nga pong powerlifting. Pero po, nung nag-try ako mag-compete locally dito sa atin ng powerlifting, nag-podium ako agad. So sabi ko parang okay naman pala tong ipagpatuloy. And syempre, dahil nag-excel ako dito, nag-decide po ako na mag-specialize na po sa powerlifting. Syempre, sino ba naman yung hindi ano ko sasabihin? Basta, para sa akin, nung nag-specialize po ako na isa lang ang training ko, ang powerlifting, medyo umangat po yung numbers natin na in 2019, nakapag-qualify na po din ako sa Worlds, na nakapag-uwi din po ng bronze sa squat naman. So sabi ko, might as well tuloy na natin na kahit na nung 2020, na-cancel po yung mga competition, as in madami pong competition yung di natuloy. So sabi ko, time na para mag-invest ng gamit para sa akin at para makapagpatuloy ako sa sa sport na napili ko.
Yeah.
Siyempre, kung merong Heidelin sa weightlifting, sabi ko, sana ako yung maging face ng powerlifting dito sa atin.
Alam mo, we're watching some of your videos that you sent, and first of all, grabe, the weights that you're lifting, it's different. I saw a TikTok that si Heidelin posted saying that there's a big difference between weightlifting, powerlifting, and all of that. And I love the fact that you're acknowledging it. And you want to be the face of Philippine powerlifting. And what does that mean to you, knowing that you're here with the opportunity to promote powerlifting to a wider audience? How is it different? How is it empowering? What makes it special para sa'yo?
Syempre, gusto kong ako yung mag-step forward na magdala ng flag ng powerlifting kasi ako po yung nasa taas sa ngayon sa open category. So sabi ko nga, if hindi ako magpapakilala as ganito, paano nila malalaman yung difference or paano makikita ng tao na magkaiba pala kaming sport? Kasi sa amin, pag sinabi na, uy, nanalo ka, mayaman ka na yan. Kasi si di ba, mayaman na or ganito, binigyan ng ganitong pera and ganito. Pero sa akin, iba po para sa akin na ma-recognize as sa top seed po ng powerlifting. Kasi nga, medyo mahirap dalhin for now. Kasi nga, hindi pa po siya masyado sikat. Pero hindi ako nawawala ng pag-asa na in time, mabibigyan ng proper recognition yung sport. And syempre, marami tayong mahihikayat na sumali sa sport na pampalakasan. Syempre, kung kaya ng mga guys, kung kaya ng mga ibang malalaking sports na, syempre, gusto kong ipakita na kaya din ng mga babae and ng mga bata na powerlifters na mag-excel sa sport worldwide.
Well, you know what? I think you actually answered our final question, which is what is your hope for Philippine powerlifting after showing the world what you can do? And I guess this is a message to those who are curious about, who are actually curious about powerlifting and want to see what the difference actually is. What can you tell those who are on the edge of trying it to actually go and experience yung powerlifting?
Ang masasabi ko lang is sa lahat ng gustong mag-try and sa lahat ng naku-curious, pwede kayo magtanong sa akin and huwag kayo matakot kasi wala namang nag-start na malakas agad. Wala namang nag-start na 200 kilos agad yung buhat. So lahat nag-start tayo somewhere sa PVC pipe or sa So ang message ko is ipakita natin na kaya natin mag-excel sa sport na pampalakasan by starting. Sabi, yun.
Ayun.
By starting. Kasi walang mangyayari pag hindi ka nagsimula.
Oo, tama yan.
Tama.
Grabe, that's a life lesson for every part of for every aspect, hindi lang pang sports. So,
Actually,
thank you.
Joyce, sasabihin ko nga na kami ni Paolo ang unang-unang magtatanong sa'yo about powerlifting. Isa kang inspirasyon, and again, Joyce, congratulations and more power to you. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay yung pan niya, more power to you
Thank you
daw.
po.
Oo.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Jet Manuel.
And I'm Paolo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.